Hey everyone. So it's been a while since I've done a video, and so I thought I'd just go ahead and put one out on pocket knives because I haven't done a pocket knife video in a while as well. And these are not new knives. I've had these in my collection for a while. So these are two Strider SMFs, and what I thought I'd do for this video is compare the older Strider that I have with the newer one. So by older, I mean this one here with the Coyote Brown G10. Bought that one in 2012. And then this one I bought in 2019. This is got the black aluminum. I thought I'd compare kind of how the knife has, some subtle changes with the knife for the better, in my opinion. Some general things, just quick general information about Strider. I guess you could say Strider would be considered part of the original knife trinity. That would be basically Chris Reeve knives, Rick Hinderer, and Strider. So for many, it's like one of the grail knives to get if you can get one. It's got a kind of a polarizing design to it, very angular, a forward choil that's massive, which is good if you're wearing gloves, and it's, in my opinion, it's also good for being able to have more options for how to grip the blade and be able to control that blade. Quality control issues in the past have always been kind of like a topic with Strider knives. So and again, it's the knife is, if you don't like it, then don't buy it, obviously. So it's not everybody's taste for sure. For me, Strider was my first grail knife that I really wanted to get, that I saved up for and everything. And I finally got one in the form of this brown G10 Lego. They call it the Lego pattern Strider. So years ago, like maybe about a decade ago or so, or maybe 15 years ago or so, or more, like I said, I bought this in 2012. You could find Strider knives on sites like Blade Headquarters or GP Knives, and sometimes like Knife Center as well, even. Unfortunately, nowadays, it's much harder to come by these knives, and they are also, I mean, they were expensive before, but now they're just really, really expensive. So even on the secondary market, some websites sell used Striders, and they're just as expensive, if not even more expensive. So unfortunately, now they pretty much sell through their weekly drops from their website. From what I can tell on Instagram, it looks like they do their drops on Fridays and Saturdays. So if you can get in on one of those drops and you happen to luck out and be able to get one in your basket and be able to check out with it and get it, good for you. Okay. I am in no rush to get any more of them. I enjoy the ones that I do have. So let's get into the comparison. Okay. So here's the 2012 knife. Okay. So we have the screws, the torque screws, on the show side of the handle. Okay, so Strider does make them like this as well now, but if you notice on my 2019, there are no screws on this side because all the screws are on the titanium side. Okay, I do like that. It is a cleaner look. Either way, both knives are pretty easy to take apart and tear down if you do need to maintain them and clean them. The 2012, this side is G10. The 2019, this side is aluminum. They also have other materials now. They have aluminum, of course, but they also still have G10 on their drops. They also have copper occasionally. Sometimes they have full titanium. Okay, it just depends on what they're doing on their drops. This is what I believe they call the slotted style for the handle. There's also the gunner grip style, and they also have some other styles for their handles as well. So again, it just kind of depends on what they're doing and what they're doing for their drops. As far as the titanium side, let's flip that over. So the clips are the same, okay? You can see that both of them have that kind of flame titanium. They call that the Strider striping. You'll notice on the 2012 Strider SMF that the over travel disc there, the Hinderer lock bar stabilizer, as they call it, is pretty much just flat. And on my 2019 one, it's tapered. Okay, it's a little bit more refined and tapered. Also, the actual frame lock itself, the lock bar, you'll notice on the 2019 it's smooth, whereas on the 2012 we do have some jimping right there. I do appreciate that. I wish they would have kept that on the newer model. Okay. Both of them have that pesky lanyard hole that basically you can see on the 2019 one here. You can see part of the blade kind of sticking in there, so I never use lanyards on these. My 2012 one, it's not actually visible anymore because I've sharpened it enough times now that I've taken off enough steel that the knife has gotten just a tiny bit shorter. Okay, more on that in a bit, I guess. What I do like about Striders is that there's no separate back spacer. This is all one piece of aluminum, and this is all one piece of G10. And that's kind of been a nice thing with their design. It's less pieces to deal with if you're taking the knife apart and maintaining it. Okay. Some other differences, I don't know if you can tell. Let me see if I can get that on camera. So the actual tang of the blade on these older Striders has more of a curve to it. It curves up a little bit more towards that G10. I know it's kind of hard to see that maybe on camera. Whereas the newer ones, it's more of a straight diagonal and not really a curve. Okay, with this older design with that curved up tang, once that lock bar wears a certain amount in, you're gonna eventually develop lock rock. Now this one actually hasn't developed lock rock, okay, for as many years as I've had it. However, this one, the older one, does get lock stick, and I have to, basically put a little graphite, little pencil lead on there every now and then to get rid of that lock stick. 2019, I've had no issues with lock stick. Okay, so it has gotten refined, and maybe how they have maybe gotten their tolerances better. Some other things. The external stop pin. So the external stop pins on the older models, kind of large. The newer ones, the external stop pin is smaller, and also in width, the external stop pins on the older ones are the same width as the entire handles. And then the newer ones, they're just smaller all around. Okay, jimping is pretty much the same on both of these models. Okay, also the blade stock is the same thickness. It's about that 0.19 inch, really nice thick blade stock for a hard use knife. As far as action, or let's go to blade centering first. So blade centering, my 2012 Strider had never been perfectly centered. Never. It's close. At least this side's not rubbing up against the G10, but it has never been totally centered. I will say that after taking it apart, after it has broken in, the action has gotten smoother and better, but as far as the centering, it's never been centered. The 2019 came centered, and it pretty much has stayed centered even after I take it down and put it back together after I clean it. Okay, so definitely some refinements there as well. Let me put this one down for a second and open up the 2012 Strider. So as you can see, I have definitely used this blade, used this knife. I use my knives. I try my best not to abuse them. But yeah, I've definitely used this a little bit harder than some of my other knives. You can see some of the scratches there. You can see the bevel from being sharpened many times over the years the bevel's gotten higher. Okay. So on the older Strider knives, it used to just have Strider stamped on there. And for a period of time, they were not actually putting their blade steel on there. There's a little Strider symbol. If you didn't have a stamp on it around this time when the Striders were coming out, and you could pretty much assume it was S30V, I guess you'd have to just take their word for it. I bought this one from GP Knives. So basically, I guess they got the information from Strider about what kind of steel they were using. But at the time, if there was no stamp on there, it was probably most likely S30V. They also have used 154 CM, or CPM 154, sorry, on their blades as well. They've also used some other steels throughout the years, such as S35VN. Right now, I know they're using MagnaCut for some of their blades, the CTS XHP. That's what I have on this Strider. 20 CV has been used on some of their knife blades as well. Okay, but for a while, you know, they weren't really stamping the knife steel on some of their knives. This has got the traditional tiger stripe coloring or coating on the blade, and from wear and tear, you can kind of see scratches that have accumulated on that through the years. High flat grind, which helps because it's such a thick blade stock, and also a pretty thick knife behind the edge. So I'm going to leave this one open here. 2019 version, okay, we've got an aluminum aluminum show side. Same chainring bolt or similar chainring bolt on the pivot. Open this guy up. So out of the bag, I want to say box, but Strider's coming a little baggy. Out of the little Strider baggie, the action on this was definitely smoother than the 2012 version. This required almost no break-in. The edge was razor sharp when it got to me. The edge on this, when I got it, it was sharp, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Okay, and that could also just be the blade geometry. This is thicker behind the edge, which I'll show you in a second. This obviously is not striped on the blade. It's got a nice stonewash. I really like Strider's stonewash finish. It's very kind of granular and coarse. Hides scratches really well. And when the light hits it just right, I mean, it's just a really pretty looking stonewash on that blade. Screws, like I said, are on the titanium side. The lock bar doesn't have the jimping on it anymore. Early lockup on both of these when I got them. So on the 2019, you can see we've got CTS XHP stamped on it, and on his catalog or factory Striders, it now says M Strider. I think on his customs, it says M Strider, but instead of being like this standardized kind of stamped font, it's like hand etched or something. But anyways, yeah. The other thing with 2019 versus 2012, so let's go side by side here. Thickness, blade stock, same thickness, but let me get in real close, and maybe you can probably see right there. This is the 2012. This is 2019. Okay, so the 2012 in my right hand, you can see that there is much more thickness at the tip. So this blade just maintains a lot more thickness towards the tip of the blade compared to the 2019. 2019 version, we've got this little swedge here. 2012, no swedge. And I'm going to try to get it as best I can on camera here, but I'm going to try to show you the difference in thickness. So the 2019 Strider SMF gets much thinner behind the edge, and it's hard to show that on camera. But it's much thinner behind the edge. I think that's about as good as I can do. Yeah, the 2019 Strider gets much thinner. Oh, there we go. That's a good angle. It's thinner behind the edge than the 2012. So the blade geometry, even though they're both high flat grinds, this just, I mean, you can even feel it. It's much thinner behind the edge. So basically this is a much better slicer than this. Even no matter how much I sharpen this, even if I sharpen them both at the same angle, which I do, this always slices better because of that blade geometry, because it's not a hollow grind, it's just thinner behind the edge. It starts off the same thickness and then just gets a lot thinner behind the edge than this guy does. I will admit I do baby this one a little bit more than I did this one. So, but it's still a really good knife. Both of them have phosphor bronze. Neither of them, Striders do not have ball bearing for their pivots. So I will say once they break in, the action just gets better as long as you keep them maintained and clean. I usually actually use Chris Reeve fluorinated grease on these washers. The action is really smooth. Here, there's the lock stick. See that? Okay, so my 2012 Strider gets that lock stick. Yep, there it is again. But other than that, the action is smooth. The 2019, no lock stick, really smooth action. Okay. So I guess those are kind of like the big differences. Well, not really big, but I guess the refinements that the knife has gone through the years. That's really all I have for this video. And so thanks for watching, and hopefully it was informative. And I guess I will talk to you guys later.